So it's that time of the week, we are looking at the SBCs, and with Team of the Year coming very close, I would suggest to maybe have a look at what you are looking to complete that is necessary. There's still some very good SBCs. I think as of late, other than maybe like a Pedro Neto, there's been a far lack of quality in SBCs. So if you're looking for coins, head to the description of the video, have a look at U7, click go to site, and you'll be transported straight to the coin page for FC25. There is plenty of mounts, and we know full well that U7 are the cheapest, safest, reliablest coins that you can get out there. Once selected your product, click buy, and you'll also be given a newcomer an extra bonus per time. Then obviously head over to the discount, type in JT11 for your discount code, and you'll be able to get that lovely 8% off every single time. And there is also massive creators that are on screen that are also affiliated with U7 Buy. And if that's not enough to convince you, there is lots of different reviews that you can go on Trustpilot and have a look for yourselves. Safe, reliable, and fast. We've had some good gamble SBCs which have always been nice, but we are looking at the icons first as always. We have had a couple that have now gone once more, so we are looking at pretty much the final 9. More than likely we will get some really nice ones over Team of the Year. I'm hoping so at the very minimum. We started with Georgie Best in the very first Team of the Year icon, and it was the first one to have a double play style plus. I think so far we haven't had an SBC that's had double by the looks of it, so it's going to be an interesting one to see who the first icon SBC is going to be. Now in terms of pricing, I think most are pretty much in date with what we're looking at. I don't think we've ever seen so many icon SBCs come in so much cheaper than previous years. We've got the most expensive being Butra, and to be honest, that card now, like we saw before, it is probably not worth completing at 307,000 in comparison to nearly 600,000 cost. It was a no-brainer not to complete him to start with. I think you've still got a couple that come in quite nice. I don't mind a Socrates. He looks pretty decent. Baggio on the bench maybe, but you could run him as a cam, but we've had so many good players. It is absolutely unbelievable where people's teams are at and where the level of icons need to step up. Like Lampard, unfortunately for him, he's just not good enough. He was needing an evolution straight off the bat. It's just not going to happen. So I think for me, you're going to be looking at what could you upgrade in the future? Is there a favourite player? For instance, are you building a past and present Chelsea team? Then fair enough, I could kind of get on board. But having that amount of leniency for 100k here, 100k there, 500k for a striker, it's going to be one of them. So if we just run through these straight away, Butra, I'm going to say don't complete. At 300k of tradable value, I think adding double that on an SBC in a card that is already outdated in terms of completing him as an SBC. If you get him from an icon pack, he's not necessarily the worst value you can get, certainly compared to some of them, but in terms of an SBC value, it's just not the one in my opinion. I do think Buffon's still great value for what he costs. 260. If you need an icon goalkeeper and you've just not managed to get one yet, is not going to be the worst option in the world. Now, again, I would prefer him to be his other version. Was it 91, I'm pretty sure. You've obviously got that version at 720 still. Granted, stat-wise, it's not necessarily the biggest downgrade in history, so you could argue between the facts, and it's why I'd say a decent value for him. Maybe not quite a must-complete. I think you could still get away with Courtois, in my opinion. Alisson, Edison, Courtois, even throw in a ter Stegen if you need to. There's still so many goalkeepers that are in so much cheaper value that will be fine, especially until we get into Team of the Year, where that is the easiest one to pack out of all of them. Naturally, it's going to be the easiest one, but in terms of what you can get, some people do get some Mbappes, which is just going to be incredible to see. Moving on to the next one, I think when we look at the rest of them, Lampard for me, unfortunately, unless, like I say, there is circumstances where you just need Lampard specifically, I really just wouldn't complete him. Even with any evolutions, there's going to be another version, and most of these icons will see another version at some point, so having that FOMO on them, I don't think will make that much of a difference in my opinion. When we look at the rest of them, like I said, Socrates, I'd say probably more decent value. Baggio is one of them at this point. For me, I just wouldn't complete him at this point. If you've already completed him, I don't think it's a bad one because we've only got 3 days left. He's been out for quite some time now. So I think right now, if you was to say complete him as of today, I'd say no. I really would. Socrates, I'd say decent value. He was kind of in the must completes, but now we've got a few more strikers that have come out from different promos, from different SBCs and players. I'd say he's kind of going under now, in my opinion. And personally, I do prefer the Finesse Shot Plus over the Power Shot, even though Power Shot can definitely have some very, very meta values in there. We look at Makalele, a disappointing card, if I'm saying the least. I think when we saw him leaked, he could have been one of the better DMs to get in terms of a CDM upgrade. When we look at the actual upgrade, granted, 227, it's not necessarily the worst value it could have been. It could have been in the 400-500s like Butra, but they've still got that argument that most SBCs are not exceeding that crazy value unless it's an Mbappe, unless it's a Bellingham in a very good light. It's not necessarily a point where game is having millions upon millions of SBCs. We saw Vinny, Cruyff, and I suppose Saka was quite up there in the 700s. They were just player of the month, an icon that is well worth having a look at a minimum, and Saka, one of his best cards that he's had so far. That's understandable. Whereas Makalele, it's just not the upgrade. I'd much rather go for here and just wait for an evolution that will come out at some point soon. It's not that big of an upgrade in my opinion. So unfortunately, again, another one that's not going to be completed. I think they've really missed the mark on a lot of these icons. Some of them have been good, but now teams are at that level where I don't really see many of these. And predominantly, if you see a Butra, I guarantee most of the time he's got from an SBC rather than his actual player SBC. So there is that in general, because we have had a lot of icon SBCs over the past 2-3 months. We're 3 months into this game already. We then have, obviously, Lotta. She's coming in as a decent price, 282. One of the better strikers, I must admit. We've got Pires with a finesse shot as well. Surprisingly, a decent upgrade for him. I think these two have definitely been better for what they are. Obviously, the finesse with Pires, he could go on the left, he can go on right mid, or he could sit himself in the middle as kind of that attacking threat. He's got himself the Shadow Striker plus as well, which I think is a very, very good role to have in this scenario, especially if you are playing that one striker. If you're looking at like a powerhouse like a Haaland, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, or obviously like a Drogba striker, it's definitely a decent one to have there. So I think 157 could be a very, very good value. And then even with Lotta, she was one of the better introductions of a new icon this year. Finesse shot, very nice, great pace, great shooting. Obviously the dribbling was decent enough at the time. You can obviously go for the finisher on the play style, chemistry style, get them mixed up. 94 shooting, 89 and 85 agility balance, as well as then having the 88 composure, good amount of strength, some head and accuracy in the box. 5'10", it's not like she's going to go too crazy, but a solid striker for the price that you can go with. I think got 200k for her on the value, or 182 in terms of SBC value. I think that speaks volumes for me. I think she's, if you're struggling for a striker, could be one of the ones that you could add to the list. Shevchenko adding into the final icon. I really hope that they do go up in value for these icons and really kind of give us something better. Like, I would love a team of the year Drogba. I don't know how many have truly hit that team of the year, but like we saw with Georgia Best, you've obviously got the likes of Xavi who could go into it. Rooney's another great one. I'd say Cantona, but I don't know if he's... I'm speaking more towards what FIFA cards they've had. I know Xavi, Rooney have definitely had team of the years. Actually, it has Rooney. Rooney might not have actually, but back then he might have done at some point. Shevchenko though, 164, got himself the power shot. It could be worse. Really could be worse in terms of card. We've obviously getting the value in. I'd say at this point, I'd still probably go towards more not complete, in my opinion. Just from what we've got with Lotta, Pires, Socrates, I don't think you would need another one. He could be in the okay value, but for this point, I'm going to say don't complete. Which then leads us on to the players. We've got a decent amount and some that are very vital in terms of SBC. So let's have a little run through what we've got then. We did get Mane and Lukaku in the past few days. Solid in terms of what you get. Obviously, you've got the Mane objective. You've got 86, 87, and an 85. The value's not actually coming in, which is very weird. I'd imagine it's not too much more than 100k now. What was Lukaku's? For the values stuck me there. So we got 150, 85, 86. So I'd probably say, yeah, anywhere between like 160 to 180, I'm assuming, with an 87. See if anybody else has got an 87 rated SBC. It's coming in at 61. So yeah, you're looking between near to 200 really for him, which again is not terrible for him. It's a nice card. He's got himself the Rapid Plus coming in at the moment. Whether he gets another upgrade, I'd imagine he probably will towards more the end of the game. It's not like he's got an end of an era. It is obviously coming in. The one thing I don't know is, I know that's obviously, well, is it? I don't even know what Al Nazir's away kit's like, but I don't think it's that. Is that actually his Southampton kit? I didn't know that they could do that, but if they can, incredible. In terms of a card, Rapid Plus, probably more winger than striker. Good pace, good dribbling, physicality kind of there. Shooting wise, solid enough. You could go with finisher, you can go with Hunter and be all right with him. Where is Hunter gone? 99, 92. It's a solid card, especially if you are building a Liverpool team. Like, I mean, that's a card that you must have, to be honest. I think in terms of what I would kind of put that in, I'd probably be looking towards more of a decent value. I don't think he'd be a must complete. I do think Pedro Neto is absolutely unbelievable of an SBC, especially with the potential of going forward as well. When it comes to picking which one you'd go for, personally for me, as he's a winger, I know he can play striker, but definitely more a winger, I would be definitely looking at the inside forward plus one, more so than the other. I just think it's a better one. You've obviously got the kind of future upgrades as well. Whether he gets another upgrade this big, kind of like soon-ish, I would probably say not. So I would definitely go with him there. And as a future Evo with the card stats already, is a solid SBC you can get with. I think Gavi will join him as well, purely on that SBC and that evolution hype, purely because of the base stats that he's got. Like, we've got a very nice kind of statted array. 99 dribbling, fantastic. I mean, you literally can't get much better. Everything is 99, so that one for me is an absolute must. You've got solid pace, 84 for a midfielder. It will do. Great passing. Physicality could do with some work. Defending could, and shooting definitely could. But that's the point of evolutions at the minute. It's not necessarily all about an all-round upgrade. It can be a more attacking upgrade, a more defensive upgrade. You could pick which one he goes into, and it's most definitely going to have a great effect on this card. So anticipate already. Give him like a finesse shot, a quick step, an incisive pass would be unbelievable for his second playstyle plus. That card turns into way more value. So I think for me, he is just brilliant of a card. Then we have kind of got the likes of a few of the lesser ones. Bellingham, still unfortunately in the lower division in my opinion. With what we got from his Ultimate Edition cover, was way better than this card at 628,000 coins. Just no. Absolutely no, unfortunately. A few of the older ones, obviously we've still got Carragher in at 2 days. We've got 10 days for Keane. I think when you look at a few of the lower kind of price ones, you're looking at kind of the Striker, the Player of the Months. You've obviously got Jonathan David. I'd be going more SBC storage because some of them will have a nice upgrade when it comes to an Evo. They're not quite the strikers you'd want right now. Trivela on Keane, if you're running a Serie A team, isn't the worst, but it's not necessarily the preferred finishing type at the moment. Jonathan David with a second playstyle plus goes up exponentially. And then the same with the Bundesliga Player of the Month. First touch, it's not that exciting. You add a finesse, you add a quick step, you add something along that sort of line, it turns into a pretty solid card. Now, obviously, you could do that for every argument. I think it's only the Bundesliga Player of the Month that's going over the 100k, so I think you could argue between them. Carragher, 77k. Again, nice little upgrade. You can whack him into a defensive Evo. He's still got the defensive ability, which is the one thing I would say this card has done absolutely right that EA have tried. Because normally what you'd get with a shapeshifter, somebody who goes from centre back to striker, you lose all defensive abilities. That gets knocked down by like 10, 15, and they add 15 onto the shooting. Now, obviously, they've added 31, but they haven't taken any defensive ability off him, bar from physical, which is absolutely fine. I think that is a big power play, that he can still play the centre-back, can still play both fullbacks, and then can play striker. He's got the power header, which isn't necessarily the best playstyle plus regardless of the position, but add another one, add a block, a slide tackle and anticipate, then add him more defensive ability. It's a solid card. It's a great upgrade for 77k. I mean, why not? It's a very cheap SBC. That is the pricing that I would go for somebody that isn't going to get an SBC like this. Now, you could always argue he's more than likely going to get a better card. He's got himself his prime, was it the prime hero, which is impacts. Again, whether you'd kind of want the difference, it's very similar. He's just got a bit more shooting ability. 2 more on, obviously, the defending. He's got 7 better dribbling on this one, which does equate to 6 extra composure. It's a massive, massive upgrade, even though he's 1 overall down. It's just my point across, really, there. Looking at a few others, then, we've got, obviously, the player of the month for Liga F in Amade. She is coming in. She's new that I literally didn't see. She's coming in at 20,000 coins. Press proven. Now the card isn't necessarily going to do too much. I'd say Evo, potentially just SBC fodder at some point if you've got a team that can go in. She's only 183 rated team with a team of the week. Team of the weeks are very easy to get. 83s are even easier to get. So I mean, if you're throwing in untradables, duplicates, SBC storage, I mean, it's a no-brainer to get an 86 from it, put her into another gamble SBC, see if she's got an evolution that you don't want to put on anybody else, get her into an 88 and 89, then use her as fodder. It's nice and easy, to be honest. Then, obviously, we've got the final player of the month at the moment. We have got Salah coming in at 90. Now, there was definitely some pushback, as I did put him in the must complete last week, and I think the argument is that he is in the run-ins to get the next player of the month. Now, that isn't confirmed as of yet. I imagine as soon as this video goes live, it will be confirmed. But if he does, then, and this is a fair argument, if he does get the second player of the month in a row, then fair enough, I'd probably say this isn't worth the complete. He's coming in at 340. I'd imagine if he does get the upgrade, hopefully they give him the 4-4. We look at, obviously, his Globetrotter. It's at 1.6 mil. He's going to be a considerable jump up if they give him that upgrade, because he'll only be a 91. I'd imagine he will keep the finesse shot. I don't see them changing that. I doubt they're going to give him a double playstyle plus, as it will affect the Globetrotters far too much. At the minimum, they give him the same upgrade here. They give him the 4-4, and more than likely he comes in anywhere between 800 to a mil. Whether he comes in at higher, I mean, they could happily go at 1.2 and kind of drain all of the SBC fodder before Team of the Year, which I think would be the play. So Salah is a potential. At that being said, with the 90, if you're not willing to put in 1.2 mil for a 1 upgrade, a skill move upgrade, I would say, or is it a weak foot upgrade, sorry. I would say personally, go with this one and wait for the evolution. That's the whole point with these cards is, right now, he's a solid card. May not be the best Salah, but he's solid enough to get by. Then waiting for an Evo, you could even scrap all this and just go with the 89 and do the exact same. It's not like he's a massive value, and it's not as if this is a massive upgrade. But in terms of what you can get from the SBC, when we go from the dynamic to the evolution and then a cosmetic, it might look better than the standard gold. That's kind of the only argument that you've got. In terms of the card upgrade, it's not that big of an upgrade. So I could see the arguments between them. So I think for me, he'd be decent value for the upgrade, but I could understand you not completing him as well. So there is a flex between them two, and I understand probably not much of a must complete anymore. We've still got quite a few as well. The winter wildcards are still very, very prominent in this. Let's kind of run through a few of them, because I think one of them is outrageously good value. And that's going to be our man Gakpo. Great striker, can play the left wing, coming in at 140. Great base stats. Pace is solid. Shooting is incredible for him. He's had a lovely upgrade from his base here. Then obviously he's got passing. It's a solid amount for a striker or a winger. Dribbling wise, it's a good upgrade again, +6, adding in just to the 86 composure. I think this is a fantastic must complete striker. Absolutely brilliant, or even winger. The quick step is where I've kind of gone with Mbappe now, throwing him out to the wing, leading in 1 or 2 players with a finesse shot to shoot. He's going to get down that wing very easily, left stick dribbling, and potential Evo later on down the line. A considerable amount later down the line with what he's got is going to be fantastic for him. Throw a finesse shot on him as well. That is going to be a well worth SBC in the future. It's just learning for the future for this, because the double playstyle pluses will come very thick and fast, just not in the numero foot, if that is any accounts. Throwing in a few more then, we've obviously got a couple of the end of eras. We've got Nani still available for the final few days. We have got how many days? 7 days left for him at 145. It's the last chance to get him. Honestly, he's one that I personally would get just from a nostalgic value and an Evo value alone. In terms of a player, he's decent. Not crazy, but he's decent. And then we've obviously got Navas, I think is a wonderful one. Coming in at 83,000. Right back, rapid plus. Not the greatest for in my right back formation, just because I like to have a fullback rather than attacking wing back. I think, again, another one that probably is more of a must complete in terms of a right back especially. It's one of them positions that you've either got or you don't. You really are in that struggling zone. But with the amount of Evos we've had with Walker, with Navas's base card, and with a few of the others like Augusto, there's arguments that you might not need him, but in terms of a La Liga right back, he's one of the better ones that you can get. Then we've obviously got Lukaku coming in. He's coming in at 150,000. Normally a pretty good striker, to be fair. He's kind of that bulky power striker. If you get another Serie A striker with a finesse, I want to say Di Natale is obviously coming in a bit more expensive, but the base, it's got the finesse. If you was to link them two together, it's a great partnership. And you can even put him on the left wing if you really want. The Serie A have got so many good players at this point in terms of SBCs, promo cards, that are working really, really well. You can go for just Keane and Lukaku themselves. He's going to be more of the bulky power striker, very much like a Drogba with the most lengthy. Pace-wise, coming in really nice on the upgrade. And in terms of the upgrade from the previous inform, it's a lovely card. It's a great value card. Don't know if I'd quite say must complete, but I'd say it's definitely worth a look in at the absolute minimum. And to be fair, other than maybe these three, the rest of them are solid. Like Nuno Mendes would come in decent value. You've got Thorgan Hazard, and I think the best benefit that you get from him is getting a loan version of his brother. And it's unfortunate that they've used the name. He is 12,000 coins. He's going to be storage. He's going to be like the Liga F Player of the Month, very much just a fodder option and the option to get a Hazard loan. That's pretty much it, unfortunately. I think this has happened before with him as well, so it is one of them that you just complete for fodder. There's going to be very little option to upgrade him. I don't think his base stats are crazy. He's in the Belgium League as well, so linking-wise, you're going to have to pull it out of the bag, unless you do get the brother in there and you're trying to do some sort of squad upgrade. Lundberg, on the other hand, is coming in at 104. We're looking at the Rapid Plus for him. A decent card, but I'm going to say he's kind of just there. I don't think he's going to be worth completing, especially when we do have the likes of Pires. I think Pires would come in that little bit better, in my opinion. Forlan coming in, I want to say he was quite cheap, actually. He is coming in at, if I can find him anywhere, is he in the previous page? He's coming in at 125, Travella plus, solid striker. I like how Forlan is designed in this game. He's very good on the body type, nice to go forward, always scores. So I'd go a decent value for him in my opinion. And then the rest of them, I think they're pretty decent. When we look at the likes of Palmer, we look at Sane and also Z Roberto. Z Roberto alone is a must complete for the hat. Then you've obviously got Cole Palmer coming in at 220. Nice upgrade for him. It's one of the better versions you can get of him. You've obviously got his Trailblazer. If you could get that one, I think the Incisive will have a much, much better impact than the Technical Plus, which I think is quite an obvious comparison. But I do think the stat upgrade is nice for him. Price-wise is good. He's absolutely on fire. So if you wanted to miss out on him and maybe go for one in the future, look for a promo card in the future, it's a possibility. I don't know where. I don't think he'd get Team of the Year. I really don't know with the midfield who they're actually going to go with. There's some standouts. Obviously, Rodri's going to get in, but could he be an outside shout? I don't think so, but he could be. At the very minimum, in terms of player-by-player basis, if you didn't take team into consideration, he is absolutely on the form too. So, at the very minimum, an honourable mention at the minimum has got to be there. So, whether we see a big upgrade for him being the face of the honourable mentions, could be an option. Very much could be an option. I think Sane as well, very good upgrade. You've obviously got Z Roberto coming for the Bundesliga as well, so you've got the multiple options there to have them links. I think that's the only problem with getting some Bundesliga players in. You've got to get the chemistry for them as well. I don't think there's many in terms of SBCs now that are Bundesliga and are an absolute must. Whereas I do think Sane is a great card. Sane and Z Roberto, you got Z Roberto at 260. Even though he's got the technical, I think he's a fantastic midfielder. And then Sane's coming in at 150 with the finesse on the right hand side. I think he's another great player that you could put in as well. So for me, I think I would still stick with them two being very good SBCs to complement each other. And obviously you've got the Brazilian links for Z Roberto. So if you didn't want to finish Sane, Z Roberto can pretty much just handle it on his own. If you've got a Vini, you've got Marquinhos, you've got Alisson, Ederson. There's so many Brazilians, let alone the icons, obviously. They're just players that are playing right now. And even a Neymar, if you've managed to get his... What one was he? What's his latest one? He did have a winter wildcard. I was thinking of his Total Rush, but if you've managed to get one of them as well, absolutely brilliant. So, they're my SBCs. Let me know down below, have you done any? Are you waiting for Team of the Year? And I think that's a big thing is, if you're not quite sure on these players and they're not going to upgrade your team, there's no harm in waiting for Team of the Year as well. But let me know your thoughts, subscribe, and I will catch you all for the next one. Peace.